Hey, happy Thursday. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time in the world you are and where you are watching this. Hope you're doing well. Realize it has been a little while since we've gone live, but had some good content here to share with you. So I'm really excited to talk about some more Facebook advertising strategy and wrapping up a little bit from an article that I wrote a while back, but really want to share this out here because the more and more people I talk to with Facebook advertising and Facebook ad strategies, the more I realize that there are three really simple, really important things to keep in mind that are very frequently the ones that are most forgotten about. So hopefully by sharing these here, you will have a little bit more information that will help make your strategy a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my notes. Okay. So here we go. Pull this over here. So I'm looking right at you. Hey, how are you doing? Okay, so the three most important yet most forgotten ingredients for successful Facebook advertising strategy. Why ingredients? 3 ingredients is what we do. 3 things are easy to remember, and ingredients with Pancake Digital Solutions. Who doesn't love food? So to start it off and just give a little bit of background, while we like to stick with these 3 ingredients, this tends to be a very common thing. 3 things easy to remember. So there's 3 different strategies here that I'm sure you've heard of before that I'll share with you. The first one is before someone will buy from your company, they teach this at like BNI and a lot of different places, they need to know, like, and trust you. So before you go to a coffee shop or an ice cream shop, you probably want to know, like, and trust the company, at least to an extent, to know that you're going to get a decent product. On the other side of that, the next one is about funnel marketing. So typically when you have a funnel, you start with lead generation, then you have lead nurturing, then you have sales. If you're already familiar with marketing, this is going to sound incredibly familiar to you. And then the third example I have here is various audiences. So you have cold audiences, warm audiences, and hot audiences. So good, successful information tends to come in 3. Good marketing advice, easy to remember. I'm sure if you've done any kind of marketing, at least one of those sounded really familiar to you. So to get on with our 3 key ingredients here for the point of sharing this information for your Facebook advertising strategy. So the very first one to start out with is starting with intent. What does this mean? Well, a lot of times I think I hear from people, and I have been guilty of doing this myself. Sometimes you'll be scrolling through your Facebook feed and you'll see the little button that says boost post after you've written something you really like, and you say, sure, I'll throw $10 at it, but you don't really think about what you're doing or why. Now, maybe you haven't thought about it intentionally or purposefully, but there was an intent to what you did. Everything that you're doing has an intent. Sounds generic, sounds interesting, but it's true. So think about the purpose of why you're wanting to boost that post for a few dollars. Think about the purpose of why you're wanting to do Facebook ads. This is really the key foundation to any successful ad strategy that is so frequently forgotten. A lot of times with any type of marketing, really, we'll just start testing stuff and throwing things out there and going here and there, which testing is important, but you have to have a strategy and a plan. And so the purpose of each thing that you're testing is where you want to start, the intent of it. So if you're starting a Twitter, for example, why are you starting a Twitter account? What's the point? To test out this channel because you think your audience is there? Great, that's your intent. You're wanting to start a Facebook ads campaign just for traffic because you need to boost those numbers coming to your site? Perfect, there's your intent. It's really important to start there. And if you're having trouble figuring out what your intent is or need a little inspiration to get going, look up SMART goals. SMART goals are not necessarily the best for goal setting, but they give you a really good structure to help start setting better goals. So the second key ingredient here is providing a genuine value. So what do I mean by that? Providing value is not a new concept. This is not something you haven't heard of before. Especially as a business owner, you're probably providing really good value with what you're doing, with your product, with your service, really purposefully trying to get something out there that helps other people. So looking at genuine and looking at value. So just think about for a minute about what that means. What is really genuine and what is really valuable? So sometimes people will get caught up in business and they'll just want to sell, 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 sell. You're starting your company because you're thinking all about the products that you want to sell, which is good. I mean, a business has to make money to be profitable, to be successful, to be in business. However, if you're just thinking about how many products you can sell versus how that product is going to help somebody, it's going to come across in your marketing and it's going to be very difficult to really focus truly on what your customer needs. So with the ad that you are providing, use a little empathy. Think about what your customer is doing. You know, is it a busy parent who's sitting there scrolling through their phone with kids running all around and they have an ad that pops up and they just see a video that provides a solution for them and it's easy and helpful? You know, is that something that, that you're providing? Or some information in that video of maybe a cool thing to keep kids entertained, and then that relates to your product eventually. Something that really truly is genuinely providing value to them. Let's see, so for example, the one that I wrote about here in my notes is thinking about a car dealership. So think about a used car salesman. Perhaps they're talking about, you know, they've got great cars that are at a really good price. Great. Well, you know, somebody who's really, really in need of a car, maybe that's interesting too. They probably feel like every used car dealership is a dime a dozen and they're going to go, regardless of where the dealership is, just looking for a specific type of car. Sure, that makes sense. However, you might think back to that busy parent example, somebody who wants to get their kids to school safely and they have to get themselves to work on time too, but they live in an environment where maybe there's snowy weather and they're budget conscious. So you might reach out more to them in a way that says, safe and reliable transportation is important to your family. We can help for all pricing and budgets. Really focusing on the needs of what the people need, genuinely providing value. Your client, your customer has a need, they have a problem they need solved, and you can genuinely fix it with your solution. So focus on that. So that's the second key ingredient. Make sure that from that intent, you are then providing genuine value. And then the third and final, arguably the most important of the forgotten ingredients, yet the most forgotten, is to measure it. Measure, 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 measure. Are you gathering data? Are you looking at the success of your ads? Have you set the intent of what the success is going to be? So back to our intent example, if your ad was to start a traffic campaign because you need more people on your website, well, what does more look like? Is that, you know, 20 hits a day, or is that 2,000 people that come to your website? And how are you going to measure that? Did you set up Google Analytics? Are you checking link clicks? How are you figuring that out? Do you have the pixel to make sure that people are actually landing on your page and they're not just clicking the ad and then leaving? So that's just some little pieces of information there of 3 key ingredients for a Facebook strategy. To recap, it is to start with intent, to be really intentional about why you want to do a Facebook ad. The second one is to provide genuine value, truly really help the people that you're trying to help with your product or service. And finally, measure it. Measure, measure, measure. There's so much data that having that availability, that access, will allow you to see if your intent worked. And there's really no excuse not to use the data. So just dig in there. And of course, if you have any questions, let me know. And looking forward to your success in Facebook ads. Thanks so much.